There's no family structure these days. Women want to be the men and all this other nonsense. Yeah, they do. Some of them want to be a man. They want to tell a man what to do. And I ain't never seen it.
This gentleman is a woman who's transitioning into a man, and you could see the level of difficulty that he's having with the transition because, quite simply, the life of the average man is just not very pleasant. And you could get a good feel for how much he's struggling with coming to terms with just the real existence of average men.
Nobody told me how lonely being a man is. But to have known, and I think a lot of trans men feel this, is we knew what depth felt like before we transitioned. We knew what it felt like to have people want to hug us. And to have people want to talk to us. And to have a community. And then you transition and you're just a guy walking down the street that people cross the street so that they're not near you. And friendships are so much harder to build. And people are colder. But I also now understand why the suicide rate is so much higher in men. This shit is lonely.
You heard this person who was formerly a woman now presenting as a man say that as a woman, people naturally want to come up to you and hug you and be close to you. And now, as living the experience as a regular man, that's gone. And one of the comments really hit home when a lady said, as a woman, it's way easier being a woman than a man. Women and children are loved unconditionally. Men need to earn it. And that's why I admire them. Now, this person is going through withdrawal, if you will, because now he has to understand what most average men understand from the jump. Nobody cares about you.
Especially these days, because life ain't like it was when I was coming up. You didn't have this kind of nonsense. You had family structures. When I was coming up, mother and father, everybody in the neighborhood had a mother and a father that was working, that was putting down discipline. And all the people I know grew up to be men's and women's, working, taking care of their children, because they had a family structure. There's no family structure these days. Women want to be the men and all this other nonsense. Yeah, they do. Some of them want to be a man. They want to tell a man what to do. And I ain't never seen it, and when I was coming up, it wasn't like that. It's a whole different structure right now.
This is Baba talking on Green Gorilla's channel, and they're talking about the unfortunate situation with the 14-year-old son who was, it would appear, instructed by his mother to accost another gentleman. And now there are two men's lives who are completely destroyed. The 14-year-old who apparently approached and attacked the man as he was trying to run away and made sure that he couldn't get away and, he's not alive anymore. And of course, the young 14-year-old who grabbed the weapon and did something that he probably shouldn't have at the behest of his mother. Most of the talk you heard on the stream was about, well, the guy that, cost the woman shouldn't have done it. But what really happened is that you just saw two male lives destroyed. And what it points to, from what I take from it, is that male life is cheap. Male life has always been cheap. But if indeed we're going to live in a world where the gender roles are getting erased, that means that more lives become cheap because average women become average men.
The reality is, feminism, the world of feminism, is the playground for the fuckboy, if you want to call them, without any real judgment. That's what they say. So,
yeah, tell me
the
more
biggest losers, the biggest losers in feminism are women. They've actually lost more than anyone.
This is a podcast called Psych Hacks, and they're talking about how with feminism, what is essentially happened is that a lot of women have looked at the top. They want to be the boss bee. And as the boss bee, it basically means I want the top of the top. And I want to be, I guess, a power couple, if you want to call it that. And so if you're trying to be a power couple, that means that you're looking for someone that's on your level or higher, which means, of course, if you are in the dating game, you're basically saying, I want to find someone who is either above my level in attractiveness or above my level in success. And if no one in my vicinity is on that level of higher, I'll ignore all of them.
As far as your life is concerned, it's going to be pretty good. Yeah, you might feel a little upset about the fact that you may not be able to find the guy that you're looking for necessarily, but you still have the opportunity to go somewhere else and hook up in the same way that some of these guys do. But most women are never going to end up doctor, lawyer, Oprah. Most women are never going to experience that. It's just not realistic. Most people are going to be secretaries, LPNs. These are decent jobs, not saying they're not, but it's not going to be the glamorous boss life that you were sold. And then what you're going to be left with in most cases is also struggling to even find the equivalent of yourself in a man.
We've heard these talking points before. This is nothing really new, but it does speak to the fact that there's a social change in terms of not just how women are looked at socially in terms of, the chivalry part, but there's just the fact that if you are an older woman in the dating market and men don't see you as the same way as a man would have seen you several years ago, then you basically become treated like another man. And this comment stood out to me when I saw it. Feminism is the right to be treated just as disposable as men. So the question becomes, what does the smart woman, understand? The first thing that a woman who is an actual wife understands is that an average man will value her. Now, in modern Western dating, the phrase or the term average is almost an insult because no woman wants to settle for an average man. But if a man is hardworking and he's resourceful and he's an average man in his early 30s, late 20s, and you invest in him, then he's not going to stay average. He's going to work, he's going to improve. And here's the thing, if that woman invests in a good man early, that man will appreciate her for it. And I think this is something that smart women understand, especially overseas where things are more traditional, because she may have had a father who woke up early and worked very hard, and she appreciates the stability that her father afforded her in her life. And of course, that's something that's kind of lost in modern dating. But if you really think about it, a guy who makes sure that the family life of his children is as stable as possible, for a young boy, he might think, well, this is normal. But for a young girl, they'll think that if I can find a man that is stable like my father, then I can have a life that's softer and easier than it would be if I try to do it all myself.
Things don't turn out the way you thought it would. Yeah, when people think about feminism, they think about the top. Yeah, I'm going to be a boss. I'm going to be the CEO of Facebook. But for most people, it's like, nah, you're more likely to be like maybe an assistant manager at a grocery store or something like that. That's real.
If a woman is a wife, she's also going to understand that she does not want to be treated like an average man. And so she's going to make decisions by meeting someone who's dependable and investing in him so that he can lighten that burden for her so that she can soften up her life. Now, this is something that you don't really see in the West until, a lot of women get older and then they start trying to look for their soft girl parachute. As a matter of fact, we saw this with Rebecca Lynn Pope. But one thing you'll see overseas is that there are some girls who grew up in a house with their father. Their father has rough hands. He busts his behind. And she knows that if I get married to a man like my father, or better yet, on a trajectory better than my father, he's going to not only make my life a lot softer, but he's going to take care of me. Now, when I say take care of, that doesn't mean that she gets to sit down and do nothing all day, but she gets to go to work knowing that she can take the day off and the bill's still going to get paid. And you will see that if you are going overseas looking around for a wife is going to be someone who understands this man is going to lighten my load and make my job as a wife easier, as a person easier. And I would say for guys who are passport bros or SYSBM guys who are looking overseas, if you find a young lady and she has a hardworking father and she adores that man, you are probably looking in the right place. Now, you might find this in certain places in industrialized nations. You might see it in some third world nations or nations that don't have as much development as America. But rest assured, if that woman can appreciate her hardworking father, she can appreciate a hardworking you, because she can understand that you will do almost anything for a woman that is traditional and will appreciate you. Something that I think a lot of modern women not only are coming to understand, but they're starting to miss. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care, guys.